Space, the final frontier.
Blue skies smiling at me, nothing but blue skies do I see. Never saw the sun shining so bright, never saw things going so right.
Let's see what's out there. Engage.
Hello and good evening. Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 1, Episode 6, Where No One Has Gone Before is over. And it has been since October 26, 1987. But we're just getting started here for this June 25th, 2024. Some almost 30 years later here as we're set to break down another episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, talking all about it, breaking everything down, what we liked, what we didn't like, and then rating it. I'm Dave Maynard here on Live Long and Podcast, streaming live here on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch, or you may be listening to us on audio version. Welcome, and we welcome all comments here. We got a great panel to break this all down here tonight. First up, it's the World Mind himself with a kitty that might be a Klingon Targ. It's the World Mind, Chris Murphy.
Yes, I brought my Klingon Targ and we're ready to go Warp 10 to discuss a little TNG where no one has gone before. So
Nice. Okay, well, coming in next, it's the man who, is going to completely redo our warp theory analysis. It's Adam Woodward.
Hey, you guys. I'm happy to be here and interested who our final guest is tonight.
Yes, well, I kind of knew this was happening, but the ugliness of the human cannot be exaggerated. It's Damon Tar.
Yes, excuse me. We must talk about your last review before we move on to the next one. Did you think we would not pay any attention?
Oh, we knew you would.
We saw the slander toward the Ferengi people, and we are here to discuss one of the finest, longest traditioned, is that a word for you humans?
I think so.
Type of business deals in the Ferengi Empire. Do you know what that is?
Yes, Yankee traders.
No. It's a bribe. We're talking about bribery.
Bribery.
Bribe.
Oh.
Yes, bribery. Who is your daemon?
Oh, I don't know. He's not a good daemon, I don't think. So
we heard what you said. Weird. We Ferengi are weird. Is that what they teach you in your human schools?
They might.
That
have I paid attention?
And they said the humans were ugly. Is that we are ugly, we Ferengi people?
It's all in the eye of the beholder.
The energy whip is a time-honored weapon.
Yes, but why does it go stiff like a pool noodle when it's not working?
Seems
Would
like
you
a lot
want
of
a
work
limp
to
whip?
A limp whip? No, you don't want a limp one, I guess.
No,
Listen,
you do not want a limp whip. So
if
it
there are
cost me
complaints,
4 slips of latinum to be on this podcast, and I intend to be compensated.
if there are complaints, it will require at least 20 slips of latinum, but I'm all ears.
Jody Simpson wants to know, is this a kid show now?
The way you run your finances over here, it must be some sort of a kid show.
Yeah. Child's play, really.
So I will accept 10 bars of gold pressed latinum, or I will declare your insults to the Ferengi people, to the entire Ferengi population.
Are we sure this hasn't become a Dumbo? An episode of Dumbo?
The elephant?
Yeah.
Is that a Happy Meal toy? We're being asked here in the comments. Damon Tar.
Are you a Happy Meal toy, Sam Hinkton?
I don't know.
You sound like a Happy Meal toy to me.
Well, if I apologize for the transgressions against the Ferengi people, and we will.
Why don't Ferengis blink?
Every time you blink, you lose one slip of latinum.
Yes. Well, but thank you, and we're here to break down another episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation, Damon Tar, where no one has gone before.
Is there any Ferengi in it?
No, there's no Ferengi, but there is a Klingon Targ. That's all I got. Somebody from Taos. Oh, there he goes. Okay, well, I guess he's not too interested. He was okay. Well, hey guys, I think we can probably get into this episode proper, which I mentioned is from 1987, where no one has gone before. The 6th episode of this series and of this season, and spoilers ahoy, we're going to be talking all about it here. So maybe go to Adam first. Adam, what do you think of where no one has gone before?
This is one of my actually favorite episodes. I still love this episode. I love the Traveler. I love the concept of the Traveler. I like that he recognized Wesley. I like the arrogance of Kaczynski. And I still like the immaturity of this crew coming together and the weirdness that we sort of sometimes see. Like every time that they addressed Captain Picard, did you notice that on the bridge? That I'm sure we're going to talk about it, but it was like Captain, and they gave their opinion, right? And then the Captain went complete opposite way anyway. So.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. There's a lot of fun here. Okay, coming in late, it's Davan. Davan, you missed Damon Tar, but
no, I didn't miss him. He sold me a Damon Tar action figure on his way out the door.
He
asked me if he could use my studio.
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't let him use it for free.
Does it come with a slice of Damon Tar?
Good man.
What?
Does it come with a slice of Damon Tar?
A slice of Damon Tar? Well, I mean, it says Damon Tar on it.
There you go. It's branded. It's authentic. It comes with a certificate of authenticity, and maybe one day you can buy a vacuum desiccated disc of Damon Tar as well once he goes on. But Davan, let's get back to the subject at hand, where no one has gone before. The part of the opening monologue that Captain Picard gives in every episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. The title of this episode, and what do you think of this episode?
What I think with this episode is we need to discuss the plot of this episode very carefully as we go along, because I'm missing something here.
You're missing something in the plot. Okay, well,
or maybe the plot is missing several things. It's either me or it's the plot, and we're gonna figure that out tonight.
Okay,
I have some questions.
Well, okay, we'll talk about that, and then let's go to the world mind himself, Chris Murphy.
I always thought it was a little weird how the what is it called, the passenger or the traveler or whatever, always just like makes just the biggest googly eyes at Wesley throughout the entire episode. And then I always kind of questioned, like, how did they break the warp speed without turning into lizards? These things always stuck out in my mind when I watched this episode.
Salamanders.
Salamanders.
Okay,
lizards.
but we could just get right into it. It's bothering me. Who is Kaczynski?
Apparently, he doesn't get a little communicator badge.
No, but how did Kaczynski get onto the Enterprise?
Well, we're told in the plot.
Yes.
Or like the setup that Captain Picard gives us, that they've been going from ship to ship, sort of modifying the warp engines of these two other ships, the Ajax and the Fearless, if I remember correctly. Yes. And they made their warp drive slightly better.
But Kaczynski had no theory. This is all the Traveler, right? Like, there's nothing. Kaczynski had no science.
Well,
that he was like expressing onto people.
The Traveler would say that is uncruel. He said that there was some. He said to Wesley that Kaczynski was maybe doing a little bit.
I always thought it was more Kaczynski was copying the homework of the Traveler in such a way.
I don't think so. I think that the Traveler said in midway through or 3/4 in the episode, he said that he basically did the work, but it's like Kaczynski he needed a way to get onto the starship, so he would
exactly. Adam's going at what I'm talking about here.
I want to see what he
How
said.
how did Kaczynski and the Traveler first meet, or who approached who? Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, they never
did the
explained
Traveler just find a Kaczynski or just pick him out and be like, I need a way onto the Enterprise to get to Wesley?
Yeah, so they took a
He's just been
mediocre,
playing-
warp theorist, and then.
Well,
latched onto it.
I don't think that the Traveler came to the Enterprise specifically for Wesley Crusher. I think he happens
What?
to meet Wesley
No,
Crusher.
I agree with that. I don't think so either.
Yeah,
What?
I don't think he
Then
was
what
just.
is he doing?
What's he do?
He was enamored by Wesley Crusher's super science kid brain, that he was able to take the Traveler's like theory of super speed relativity or whatever, and just like he's like, oh, it's cool, but it's a little broken here, and then he like rearranges it, and then it makes it faster, and then Wesley breaks the space-time continuum, and the passenger's just like, you're gonna give me all the power, you sweet little child, you.
See, I think that he even says he lives outside of like time and all that. It's like not the same thing to him. It's all, everything's just thought. So like he would easily have the ability to know who Wesley Crusher is, and as we see Wesley Crusher in like, you know, Picard and stuff approach Soji, it's just like they seek out these people on purpose. And to me, this episode makes absolutely no sense unless he knows about Wesley. Because the relationship between him and Kaczynski makes no sense. It makes no sense for this Traveler who's lives in this world of thought in form. Like, it's just working with Kaczynski for shits and giggles. Like, it makes no sense.
Oh, there's definitely like
unless he's after Wesley.
I think he said in the episode that we search out people like this or individuals.
Yeah, exactly. So he had to know about Wesley.
No, I don't think he had to, and I think we're making some assumptions here about what the Traveler's abilities are or aren't, and I don't know it's all pretty vague in terms of the way he explains it in this episode. And I know he does come back in the 7th season, mostly in the form of that guy from Shining Time Station, the guy who took over from Tom Jackson, if I'm correct.
Oh, yeah,
Tom Jackson, who like, you know, pretends to be this other guy and then turns into the Traveler in Wesley Crusher's final episode of the series. But like, okay, so back to the Kaczynski thing. What the Traveler tells us in this episode is that he's kind of a hitchhiker. He kind of goes from ship to ship, just traveling through the universe, you know, and he kind of sold his abilities to Kaczynski as a means of getting around, is kind of what we're told.
But he doesn't need them as a means.
It doesn't seem like, based on what we learned on him later, I guess not. We see that he disappears at the end of this episode.
Yeah.
Where did he go?
He just thought about another place and ended up there. Like, that's the whole thing with the way he
maybe
the universe is. He experiences it. Like, it's all just thought. He's like, there's no difference between thought and form and speed.
Maybe his species is just like a level below like the prophets or something to that degree, you know?
So they're like I don't know, like they're not to the level of Q, because I don't think they can just manifest whatever they want. But they certainly are like living outside of our linear existence.
The only thing, Davan, that I would say is that why I don't believe that he knew Wesley was on the ship was because the scene where Wesley sort of makes the link that time and space and are not in thought. Thank you. Are not related. I think you said
are not as different as they seem.
Yeah. Thank you. But what the look of sort of shock and realization that this is one of those people they're searching for.
See, I didn't take that look as shock. It was like, good, you've confirmed what I wanted you to do. Like, it was just like, sweet. Like, you are the Wonder Child. Like, that's how I took it. And so you have this being who can do all these things, and thought and like form and travel have no relevance to him really. And he just decides, hey, I just want to like hitchhike around and make starships in Starfleet like their engines like 8% more efficient. Like, it's just the whole plot makes no sense unless he's there for Wesley, to me. Like,
I don't think so.
The Traveler being there.
I kind of agree in the sense that, like, yeah, I believe his ultimatum was to meet Wesley. He just wasn't fully aware of Wesley. I think his thing was he knew he had to be on this certain path because at one point in time he was going to unlock the golden kid that was going to unlock all of his powers. So he was going to meet Wesley. He just didn't know who he was until he met him, and then he's like, "Oh, you're the one I've been looking for this whole time."
I could buy that. I could buy that. Like, it's a little bit less than what I was suggesting, but I could buy that. Or he was looking for Wesley, knew Wesley was there, just didn't know who Wesley was.
Yeah. I'm still not convinced he knew Wesley was there or was specifically looking for him. But
then explain to me why he's just palling around with this like Herbert Kaczynski. The reason I suggested we do our next top Trek 10 is like not Trek 10. Our next convention is ranking the Herberts of Star Trek, because I'm watching this whole episode going, man, what a Herbert is Kaczynski. Like,
Agreed.
Ultimate Herbert. He's ranking high for me.
He is a Herbert, but okay, but I guess because you're like, he's way more powerful and smart than Kaczynski, so why is he hiding behind Kaczynski? No, that's the part that doesn't make sense to you.
It's more like what they're doing. Like Kaczynski, I could see why he like wants to pretend to be this great scientist who's like making these engines better. But like the Traveler doesn't care about engines. Like he doesn't need engines. Like he could have.
Well, the Traveler has no ship.
He doesn't need one.
We don't know that.
I think he does need a ship, and he also like he still needs to get on the ship.
Yeah.
And he's not Starfleet.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think. He just needed Kaczynski to get on the Enterprise.
Sure, but that I agree with.
I don't agree still.
Oh, like, sorry. Not the Enterprise. I didn't say that. I said he says right off the bat he uses Kaczynski to get on ships. He didn't say why.
Yeah, he doesn't say what. He says he's just traveling around.
He didn't say what.
He basically explains himself as an explorer, and this is just part of him exploring space, maybe time. The other thing that Riker says to him later on in the episode when he's on the biobed is, "You're from a different time, aren't you?" He goes, "Well, no, not exactly from another time." But then he goes, "Well, maybe
that's good enough.
That maybe that's a term you understand." So he may be non-linear. He may, so like, we don't know exactly how much time goes by from the time we see him in this episode to when we see him later on in season 7, and exactly what his timeline is. And we never see him outside of those 2 appearances. And then we see Wesley Crusher in Picard, but yeah.
It's just the way he describes his philosophy. It's like, because it's like to him, and this is a real scientific philosophy, which is that consciousness is the basis of all reality. Mm-hmm. That's his reality. For him, he confirms that. So there's no difference between anything we see or experience to him and thought. So
I would reckon that he was going from ship to ship because he's looking for a ship. He's doing this basic warp test, increasing smaller ships to faster capacity, but he's also doing this testing to see if he can find Wesley. Because again, he doesn't know who his Wesley is, but he knows there's somebody amongst perhaps a Federation ship because of whatever non-linear time thinking he happens to have or was informed of that led him to be like, if I can find this kid, he can truly expand the sciences in which I'm trying to explore.
And the Traveler says, I have certain abilities. They give me an understanding of propulsion. I've been trading this for passage on Starfleet vessels. I only seek transportation in order to see and experience your reality.
Oh, so he's trying to experience the more dumbed down linear reality is what he's saying.
Yeah, so it's kind of like he's pretending, like we get the idea that maybe like this humanoid being is not really what he is, but on the other hand, I don't know, like Troy can't sense any of his thoughts. Dr. Crusher can barely treat him, but she can still give him hypo sprays, and I don't know, she can kind of do something for him.
Yeah, that was funny.
So
I don't know.
Put that
his vascular system too underneath, when he's in the biobed. So he's got some form to him for sure.
Right, but he is quite
Neurazine works on everyone. Yeah,
he is spongy thumbs though. He's got spongy thumbs.
Very spongy thumbs.
There's just like whoop.
Yeah, I can't remember who those hands. They remember me almost like the Danny DeVito penguin hands from Batman Returns or something,
Yeah. Or like they look like Jaresh Enyo's hands.
Oh yeah, Jaresh Enyo too would be a good.
The Elephant Man's hands.
Yeah.
Was he an elephant? I always took him as a horse.
He's in 2 more episodes too, not just 1.
Who? Traveler?
Yeah.
2 episodes.
No, just 1 more.
No,
3
2 more.
appearances.
Who's this?
Remember Me. What's Remember Me?
That's the one where Dr. Crusher has her mentor on, and the warp bubble that Wesley again was screwing around with.
Oh, Dr. Dalen Quace.
Dalen Quace.
I thought that was.
I forgot that he shows up.
Traveler in that one? Why does he show up in that one?
I forgot about that.
He's the one who basically closes the bubble and gets everything back to normal.
Oh, right.
And Wesley Crusher's not even in that episode, right?
But that shows you.
But I thought
he does not need a ship. He didn't come aboard on a ship. He just appeared there. The Traveler.
Well, I mean, he was very non-corporeal throughout this episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
he doesn't need ships.
I think. Well, he doesn't need ships because he became non-corporeal through Wesley's
No, Wesley didn't do anything to the Traveler.
Yes, he did.
Anything, no, he didn't, Murphy. That makes no sense.
What do you think he did to him?
What he did is he looked at his thing and he's like, "Well, if this works here," and then he adjusted his math because Wesley's a math genius, and the Traveler's like, "Oh, the great child," and then he starts using the power. And because he starts using it, it becomes way faster, and he starts phasing in and out. And Wesley's like, "Is this happening right now? Is anybody
Wesley
else
was helping him,
seeing this? So yeah, because Wesley helped,
but he didn't unlock his powers. He was already.
I think it did.
Being.
Well, I mean, he was clearly.
That makes no sense. He says his whole people are like that.
But if he's not, well, if he's not corporeal, then why is he got to go ship to ship?
He doesn't. That's my point. He doesn't
because he was corporeal up until this episode, and then he gets the ability to become non-corporeal.
Murphy, you're talking nonsense now. We were having a serious conversation.
We don't really know. Like if he might be have the ability to transform himself from corporeal to non-corporeal.
Yeah, I think so. I think we've seen that. I think that's that Nurazine was working on him.
Right.
Or whatever.
We're told is he from Tau Alpha Ceti or whatever it was called? Which we're told is a very, very distant world for
Tau Alpha C.
Alpha C.
There's no reason to believe he isn't.
Right. Because Riker seems to recognize his species. But anyway, let's talk about the episode, see if there's anything else we can unlock here as we run through this. Interesting debate just to start off the podcast though. So
makes no sense.
We get the captain's log where he explains to us that this thing that makes no sense, that the Traveler and Kaczynski, more specifically this Kaczynski guy, has been redoing warp engines, including the Fearless and the Ajax. I guess this is the Fearless that we see at the very beginning.
Do we get his first name, Kaczynski's?
No.
It's Herbert.
It's Herbert Kaczynski. And I don't know, there's kind of and Riker says his calculations make no sense.
In my opinion, they're gibberish.
They're gibberish.
They're commenting on the episode within the episode. This is genius, actually. Never mind. I take everything back.
Data tries to explain it, but yeah, it doesn't go as well. Anyway, so Captain Picard gets a little almost annoyed with Riker saying that this isn't going to work. So he says, well, why don't you go figure this out and go meet him in the transporter room. And then Riker decides to take Troy with him. He's like, no, I want to take Troy along to help evaluate things. So in the transporter room, we meet Kaczynski. Although, by the way, we also meet Chief Engineer Argyle, who's in this episode. He's one of the chief engineers that will eventually be replaced by Geordi next season.
It's like the directors or whoever was casting said, okay, we're going to give you one try.
Yeah. Maybe you'll be the chief engineer.
That's right.
First, it was some lady. It was like a lady, and then it was him.
Yeah. Is this guy a Herbert?
No.
Who, this Argyle?
Yeah.
No, he's doing his job.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with Argyle.
Here's your Herbert.
Look at this guy. Jeez.
Okay, can we talk about the
Argyle
uniform?
Was
let's talk about the uniform, Dave, because it's all wrong.
Well, he doesn't wear a comm badge. There's that aside, but he also wears this weird.
What are those pips?
It's like we never see it before or after this. I'm led to believe it means he's some kind of like a non-comm. Like he's maybe, I don't know, like a warrant officer or something. But
that makes more sense with this
operations.
whole Traveler problem, though. It's just like Traveler just hooked up with this guy somewhere like not even in Starfleet. He just like ran into this guy at some science thing or like anything.
Listen, I think it's completely realistic to think that Kaczynski's some kind of theorist. And
but a quack, a bit of a quack,
Sure,
like,
but he can be he's hiring his own consultant, and you're right. They probably met at some convention somewhere, and this is how they hook up.
Right, and the Traveler's using Kaczynski, not the other way around. Really,
exactly,
but,
exactly.
He's the Terrence Howard of Starfleet.
But Kaczynski's using the Traveler to gain esteem,
notoriety, and and apparently Kaczynski already thinks he's the best thing since sliced bread or replicators or whatever else.
He sure does.
And so he kind of he's very disrespectful to Riker and everybody else here. Troy says he's very sure of himself. I know that, but then she says, "I can't sense this Traveler. He doesn't really have a name. He's just Kaczynski's assistant at this stage of the episode."
They don't say the name of his species either, do they?
No, they just say he's from this planet. Yeah.
I love
Tau
this beginning.
Setchins.
I love this beginning trope of Diana just being, not being able to not being able to feel things when it's most important.
Yeah, she can even sense Q, but she can't sense him.
The way they use her empathic abilities is questionable at best, and this is why Patrick Stewart flipped on her during the episode one time, and he's just she's like, "I don't sense anything, Captain," and he just goes, "We know that, you stupid cow," and he's like,
is that an outtake?
And then he hid behind Brent Spiner so she wouldn't hurt him.
Good move.
Yeah.
So that's our teaser for the episode. Is we meet Kaczynski and the Traveler, if you will, and we're gonna see where this goes. But yeah, it's kind of an ambiguous teaser. You don't really have a sense of where this is going yet. We get the title Where No One Has Gone Before as we go to the engine room.
Good title.
Yeah, I like kind of centered like that is different. They don't do that in too many episodes either.
It doesn't look great.
At what point did Roddenberry technically stop writing for this season? Was it
I think
it's already happened? It's basically already happened.
Yeah, he's
not
just
really writing for this.
He's like kind of the showrunner at this point, but not even really.
A lot of the old guard is there as far as the writing.
I know he's dipping his pen on certain scripts, but there's a point where they completely cut him off from being. Yeah,
they really just.
He said he wanted Deanna to have 3 boobs, and then they cut him off.
Yeah, no more. Only 2 boobs for you.
Yeah,
he was already done in Total Recall. He couldn't do it again.
Yeah, see, Maurice Hurley was there. He worked on TOS.
Yeah, he becomes
the old guard is there. Yeah.
Maurice Hurley becomes the showrunner in the 2nd season.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this Kaczynski's kind of going around the engine room saying, "You're too dumb to understand this, Chief Argyle. You're too dumb to understand this, Riker." And he's like, "What's the boy doing here? Working on a science project. Never mind him. Well, don't let him get him away."
Oh, new drinking game for this episode, everybody. Every time somebody says "the boy," take a drink. See if you can make it to the end.
That's not the right one. I want. Oh, sorry. Didn't I add it? I thought I had. Hopefully, guys, forgive this if this is loud. Hold on a second.
Picard even corrects people as in that's his name. He's just like, "Oh, and Wesley's here." He's just like, "The boy."
My name is Wesley.
Yeah, exactly.
My name is Wesley.
Exactly.
What is the boy doing here?
What is the boy doing here?
What is the boy doing here? Anyways,
the boy doing here?
So Kaczynski going around, and then we see the Traveler meets Wesley kind of for the first time while Kaczynski's off with Argyle and Riker around the engineering table thing.
One more thing about Kaczynski that's bothering me. Argyle's trying to talk to him like engineer to engineer. It's so the antithesis of being an engineer or a scientist, where it's just you won't explain anything to anybody. It's just he's trying to understand the science, and you're just blowing him off. Yes, because he doesn't know it, but it's just he thinks he does. So
he's the definition of arrogance. You're right.
But that's
when Riker and Argyle start having the conversation. I'm right here. He goes, "I'm right here."
Can you tell this dumbass what the hell is going on?
Riker asks Argyle, "Do you think it'll work?" He goes, "It doesn't matter. It's not going to work. It's gibberish."
We're never quite sure, or at least I'm not. What was before Riker was in command? Was he an engineer himself?
Riker? No, Riker's a pilot.
We're just a pilot. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then.
But Riker works for and it was probably picked by Picard for a reason, which they reiterated in the new Dayton Word book, Pliable Truths. Check that out. But it's been declared on the show as well that Picard's whole thing is he wants everyone on his ship to essentially cross-train. Like, he wants everyone to be a proficient in every kind of aspect if possible. So I suspect Riker was kind of like doing that anyway, because that's probably why he picked him as his first officer. Or if not, he would have him do that immediately as soon as he came on the ship. So, to be, I guess, long story short, to be Picard's first officer, you probably have to be pretty proficient.
You have to be good at everything. I just asked because I remember Thomas Riker, when we meet him, he's wearing a gold uniform. So Riker did wear a gold uniform for a while. And he is right in there.
He did. Was that engineering or security?
Could have been a security for all we know, but it's never really explained. Anyway, so
we really only talked about him being a junior officer in command, like all his references.
We know that when Riker was on the Pegasus, he was the helmsman. So
he's like
what happens between that and when he gets to Picard is a little bit shady, or not quite filled in. But
I think we need an explanation for that yellow uniform.
Yeah, he clearly was in the operations division for a while. Anyway, so then he's showing Wesley Crusher, the Traveler's showing Wesley Crusher like the warp field theory, and Wesley's like, no, but you can fix it here and here. And you see this look of surprise on the Traveler that he's like, oh, this kid's pretty smart. He just happens
surprise or lust.
But it's not surprise, it's expectation. He's just like, you're the one.
No.
He's not like, oh my God, somebody who can understand things the way I do. He's like, yes, the guy who understands things the way I do.
Right, because you think
there's an expectation here.
You think he knew Wesley was going to be here? I still disagree.
At no point do I see surprise on his face. I think the acting choices this guy makes are good, and they're very specific. And the Traveler's quite good, actually.
That's surprise.
Yeah. No, it's not. That's happy. He's just like, yes, let's
happy
talk
surprise.
No,
that's
finally I met the guy I'm looking for. That's what that's.
That's exactly what that is.
Yes.
But
I'm looking for.
Not that he
I agree
expects
with
him
you.
to be there, Davan.
But not that he knew. This is a predestination.
No, I don't think he. Okay, I don't think he knew he was on the Enterprise. I think he was bouncing around ships.
All right, that's what we all been saying.
Well, okay, so I can buy the idea that maybe he's looking for people like Wesley.
Yes,
that's
exactly right.
That's what he's doing.
Okay, but he maybe, but I don't even know if that's for certain. But anyway.
I mean, it would make sense. It would make sense. He's been going from ship to ship.
Yeah.
The ships have been reporting they've had minor ship speed adjustments. He comes here, the minor adjustments go wacky and crazy because Wesley's like beep boop beep boop beep, and
maybe that's plausible. Okay, But anyway.
If there's also the possibility that he knows Wesley's or somebody's on the Enterprise that he needs to see, or even that it's Wesley, but you don't, with his little scheme he's working with Kaczynski here, you don't get to go to the Enterprise first. So he had to work his way by improving these engines to get to the Enterprise. That best explains his
I think that's far too much work. I think that he's just bouncing ship to ship to figure out maybe he'll meet somebody.
Maybe.
And how he ended up on the Enterprise, luck. End of story.
I'm with Adam on this one, but we can all have our own take. I can't say you're completely wrong or anything, but anyway. So then they go for this first test, right? Where they're going to put Kaczynski's, in quotes, calculations into the computer, and they go to warp 1 here. And we see that the warp engines start going sort of bonkers. They start going and very quickly they kind of feel like they're out of control here. He goes, "What are you doing?" to his assistant, and even the Traveler seems a little surprised by what's happening here, that he made a mistake of sorts. He starts phasing out, but apparently nobody but Wesley sees this in the moment.
Yeah.
In the
Which
original
is
moment.
kind of odd. I mean, should there be people just to the panels at his left, or somebody amongst the?
You think even just in your peripheral vision, this would come into play, or if Wesley could just turn around, I don't know, start waving his arms. I think that might work too, but no, that doesn't happen. And he looks over at Commander Riker, but Commander Riker's very focused on Kaczynski and what's happening here, and we see that the Enterprise then goes into this sort of ultra warp, breaking the warp barrier, going past warp 10, not turning into salamanders. This must be a different kind of warp 10. And we just see them going so fast. I was like, every time I watch that sequence, it's pretty cool.
Maybe because they went beyond warp 10, they skipped the salamander phase, and they're just like, there's a certain buffer, like
or it's a different kind. It's a different kind of warp 10, or a different way of getting to past warp 10 that doesn't turn you.
The warp bubble that they're in is protecting them from the salamander genes.
I wish they never made the salamander episode, but this came before that, so that was not in the cards yet. Anyway, so the Enterprise is going along. I think Data says we're off the charts here. We're going so fast, it's off the scale. We can't even calculate it, and they end up in this whole new place, a galaxy. Turns out 3 galaxies away from where their own home galaxy.
You think they did a pretty good job? Like, this is different than what we usually see, so I think they did a pretty good job of this.
Yeah, it's it's space, and I think now we wouldn't necessarily say that's a different galaxy, but I think back then you're right. From what we normally see of just being that sort of black star field, it looks different, unique, and Picard's like, where the hell are we? It's definitely unique and different. And then Kaczynski shows up on the bridge, says, well, look what I did. Isn't this amazing?
You should be happy to be part of this.
You should be so happy. But they were also told in order to get home, if they were just to go by normal warp drive, it would take 300 years or something.
300 plus years, yeah, because they're like 56 million light years away or something like that.
No, right. 2.7 million.
You thought Voyager had it bad. This would have been much more stranded, but anyway, Kaczynski's still kind of trying to figure out what the hell happened. I think he must have some sense that he didn't do this, but he thinks he did it. So okay, let's just repeat it and go home. Back in engineering, we get this whole conversation here between Wesley and the Traveler, where I think this is where Wesley first says, space and time and thought are kind of the same thing.
That space and time and thought aren't the separate things they appear to be.
He goes,
okay,
don't ever say that out loud. People are not ready to hear this yet.
They can't hear those mushroom thoughts, but look at how squishy that thumb is.
It's a squishy thumb. Yeah, he seems very wow, you are so smart, kid. You are the best. Is what we kind of get from that scene. Back to the bridge where Kaczynski's still being arrogant and whatever. Picard kind of gives him the business here, and then he says, "Come on, let's get back to engineering. You coming, Riker?" And Picard's like, "He's Commander Riker. You call him Commander Riker." Don't forget the commander.
You address him accordingly.
Worf says, if the guy screwed up once, do you trust him to try again? But Geordi says, what choice do we have? Who else is going to get us home? In this scenario. And they also have sort of this opportunity. Do they want to explore this galaxy, this brand new galaxy that they've arrived in? Or, just try to get home as soon as possible? And Picard thinks about it for a minute, but ultimately decides, no, let's just try to go home as quickly as possible.
I feel like he could have done both. I feel like, yes, go home as quickly as possible, but toss a couple probes out there and just let them scan away. Direct them to go back to Earth, but let them scan.
They said, any subspace communication would take about 56 years to get back.
Well, so. Yeah, that's fine, but imagine, say they drop some probes, right? And now we're watching Starfleet Academy, and there's an episode where a probe comes in and they're just like, what is this old ancient probe, Enterprise D? What? And they get all this information that this probe has gathered for 600 to 900 years. That'd be a lot of fun. I think that'd be that's a fun concept. That's a fun concept.
I agree. It's fun. Adam, what say you? Should they have explored a little, or are they smart just to try to go home as quickly as possible?
Right now, I think that they could. I mean, I think there's a bit of urgency here. They're a little bit nervous. This is a big jump, and I don't believe in their minds that they can. That they think Kaczynski can get them home.
Right, but they have to try. What else?
They have to try, and they're eager to get at it. Like I think later on when the Traveler is like tired and needs a break, that's when they could have done their exploring. Especially when those like snowflakes are going through the galaxy.
But that's when they get to the weird part of space where all your thoughts become reality, and it's more dangerous. This was the safer place to be of those two places. So as it turns out. Anyway, so Wesley Crusher tries to tell Commander Riker about, hey, the Traveler was like phasing in and out, and like he was actually behind everything, but Riker doesn't want to hear it.
Not now, Wesley.
Not now, boy. Get out of here,
boy.
Yeah. So Riker completely dismisses it. But
I won't be standing by you, Wesley.
I won't be standing you. I got stuff to do. The captain's put me in charge. And then Kaczynski goes to Traveler. Are you up for this? Like, we got to do some cool math here. And he's like, yeah, I can do it. I'm sure.
I like how his
enough
outfit
energy
looks
for
like
this
bananas.
math.
I like how his outfit looks like bananas and pajamas.
Yeah, those are some big hands. Wesley Crusher becomes like very protective of him very fast, like right from almost the beginning of the first time they meet, and that continues on here. It goes on into sickbay and everything else, but the Traveler says no.
Like shows interest in him, and everyone else just blows him off constantly.
Yeah. So yes, Wesley becomes like helps them out here, as they try to do this again. And we see the warp core fires up here as the Traveler's trying to figure out what to do, and he starts phasing out. I think this is where Riker actually starts to note. Riker actually finally sees it for the first time. He's like, "Whoa, that's not right."
Yeah, he's like, even I know that's bullshit.
That's quite the vanishing act.
And like you can just see Wesley, I'm trying to tell you this.
This is what I was trying to say. Commander Riker.
See, weird guy, but yeah.
Yeah, but the Enterprise is going now, and it's going fast. This time it's a little different. Like we see like this blur effect that comes over, in the bridge and around the crew.
The best part of the episode for me is
they get that Wally West
when
speed.
the warp drive starts going super fast. That's actually kind of intense.
Yeah,
it is. It's like the movies when they go in, the slingshot around the sun type thing when they're all
right.
Going.
Except less stupid.
Well, this is like one of the only times, as much as Star Trek's about exploring space and everything, this is one of the only times we go to another galaxy. We actually go to like 2 different galaxies in this episode. It's kind of.
It feels like they go like to a galaxy and then they go to the edge of the galaxy.
Okay, this is my other favorite part of this episode. Actually, I don't think they're in another galaxy per se. So I think they're actually more experiencing things the way the Traveler does. Like when Picard sees his mother, Maman.
Maman?
Yeah, she says, you think you're at the end of the universe, but perhaps you're at the beginning. Like, so
right.
It's like, she's trying to explain to him that there's not this linear time thing going on here. And it's like, it's not so much where you are, but when and what.
Yeah,
You're
okay.
in the God place.
Well, that kind of does sync up with what we're told in the episode. So the first place they go is another galaxy, but this place might be like another plane of existence or something different. Completely. We never really get a true answer to that. But they're where no one has gone before, for sure. So the title of the episode very fitting, as they are stuck here. Captain Picard is like, this is not what I thought we were going to do next.
I gotta say though, season 1 TNG really overdoing the like superpowered beings. Like there were only 5 episodes in, right? And there's already been Q and like the Traveler and like Nagilum showing up pretty soon. Like they kind of do that one to death. The like superpowered beings out in space kind of thing in the first season.
You know what they didn't do though? A hand holding the Enterprise.
Yeah, no Greek gods.
Because they shut Roddenberry down. Roddenberry's just like, you need a hand. There has to be a giant hand, or this Traveler makes no sense.
Yeah. So after this, Picard decides, I'm going to engineering myself to figure out what the hell's going on. And then Worf, out the corner of his eyes, catches the first time we ever see a Klingon Targ, which is, I guess, a pig dressed up with some.
Yeah, it's not the scariest looking animal. Like the way they depict Targs every time after this is way more impressive.
Yeah, right. But
Early TNG was good for that though. Like, remember that they just put like a horn on a little dog?
Yeah,
they're like,
oh,
here's
just
your
like the
alien.
alien.
Series. Original series.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, they do it on TNG too.
This is a Klingon kitty cat, we're told.
Yeah.
Worf is pretty happy to see this thing. Hello, my old friend from when I was a child. And I don't even know if they had written all of Worf's backstory yet. But yeah.
No, because they clearly were implying he grew up on Konos.
Right, and which he did when he was until he was 6 or so, right? But yeah, and then the Targ is just gone all of a sudden.
No, he grew up on Galt, didn't he? Or is that
After.
where he lived with? Oh, was after.
That was with his human family after,
Okay.
but he was on Kinnamer until then. Anyway, and so then Tasha is like, "That's a kitty cat," but then just saying kitty cat makes her think of a human kitty cat. A kind of
Spot.
a version.
That's clearly just Spot.
Yeah, that's a different Murphy. That's a different kind of cat.
Italia.
Yeah, so you
You're
see
a
the
good
cat
kitty.
there. Meanwhile,
Italia is
Picard's
a good kitty. I've given her many a snuggle.
Picard's in the turbo lift, and then he nearly walks out into space here. This was a cool shot too. This is one of an iconic moment.
It's like the TARDIS just opened up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good point.
This is kind of the best part of this episode, I would say.
When it starts going really wacky, everywhere.
Kind of.
It's the most Dolly part.
Yeah, and then he kind of goes back into the turbo lift. He's like, "Whoa, that was weird." And then he looks out. And he goes, "Okay, I guess this is a hallway. This seems all right."
But it's interesting. I feel like because it's like reflecting their thoughts and what they're thinking about. Like Worf was just thinking about home or whatever, so like it showed him at the Targ. But what was Picard thinking about? Like oblivion, or like
right, being lost in space.
Like he's like. Yeah, exactly. He's having more disturbing thoughts at that moment.
Yeah.
So I think those are interesting choices.
And then this cat makes Tasha Yar think of petting a cat, but more specifically on Turkana 4, when she was growing up. Now we know she left around the age of 16 or so, I think. So she's obviously being there, but getting away from the rape gangs, as we're told.
They talk about those so much in season 1.
Well, every time when Tash is talking about her backstory, it comes up.
Yeah.
And don't let the rape gang get the cat. I'm like, are they gonna rape the cat? Is that what's gonna happen?
Yes, they're a gang.
Their only thirst, their only hunger is the power of rape.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Tasha Yar's even got the scratches across her chest here, and like this is
What are the scratch? Is that from the cat?
No, I think those are from a human.
Yeah, that feels like
geez.
rape gang scratches.
Yeah, so pretty dark stuff.
It is dark stuff.
And then we see her; she gets grabbed on the shoulder here, and all of a sudden it's Geordi. He's like, "Are you okay?" And she kind of explains, like, I was back on my home planet, etc. And then we kind of go to other parts of the Enterprise where more of these hallucinations are happening, or are they hallucinations? Is not quite clear. This guy who's playing the violin with a bunch of revolutionaries, I guess, or 17th century people. Picard runs into a couple crewmen who are like, "Run! Don't run, Captain! There's this thing after us."
So in all cases, Picard sees what everybody else is seeing, except in this scene.
He never sees whatever they saw.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, you're right.
He sees the fire that other guy sees.
He sees this woman in the ballerina outfit.
I don't think he
does
sees
he, or
the
does
fire.
he just see her spinning?
I got the impression that he just saw her spinning.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, he sees her spinning. He doesn't see the other guy that comes up next on fire because the guy's freaking out like he's on fire, and he's like, "Oh,
not like he's on fire. He's trapped behind the fire. He can't get past."
Yeah.
So you think he just sees her spinning in her uniform, not in the outfit?
Exactly. Yeah.
Maybe, I always took it that he could see her as we were presented, but
no, I think everyone's experienced in their own personal hallucination.
But Tasha was able to see the Targ.
Yes, that's where it makes sense.
Right. So like
most of this episode doesn't make sense.
Well, they're in another plane of existence.
That's where it didn't make sense, Adam. Yeah. Okay, I got you.
Yes, I like how this guy's like, "I guess my concert's over."
Yeah, he's eating lunch all alone, poor guy.
Then we see Maman. Maman shows up
Maman.
here. Picard's mother. Would you like?
Who's like insanely old, even for to be his mother.
They're like, we have to find a woman who could be Patrick Stewart's mother.
Isn't he like 40?
47.
Yeah, but because he was balding and had gray hair, Hollywood in the 90s thought he was 70s, so they had to find a woman that looked like she was 98.
But like he's in his 40s and his mother has been super old and dead for a long time.
Yeah, and Picard is meant to be older than Patrick Stewart actually is, at the time. Like,
is he? Okay.
So Picard himself is like 50 something here, but
okay.
Anyway, but I think that Patrick Stewart plays this scene really well. I actually really like this scene. I think it's really like, in particular, the music in this episode, the way they scored this episode is very different. And there's a couple moments like this one, and a couple of the moments with Wesley and the Traveler that are just really kind of, I don't know, they kind of really pull me into it with this really strong score. Like when I watch this scene, I can't help but think about now that like the newest season, or was it Star Trek Picard season 2?
It was Picard
2 with
season 2, where we find out his mother actually committed suicide when she was much younger than this, and sometimes I would daydream about her being an old woman, and they kind of tried to retcon this and whatever else. But yeah, like
messy.
It brings up some bad feelings there in me, but when I look at this scene in a vacuum, I really like it. Where he's like, where are we? Are we on the, and then Riker shows up and he's like, shut up,
like what she says to him is interesting. Like,
about
where you think you are and stuff.
You are on the, he's like, come on, tell me, maman. Tell me, and she speaks with a French accent, which I kind of did like, but then when they did Picard, it was in English. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
No, that makes sense because it was the Picards. It was his father's side who were from England.
But in the show, his mother has an English accent, like in the Picard show.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so that doesn't sync up. Anyway, but then she's gone, right? And there's kind of this moment here with Picard where he's like, "Oh my God, my dead mom." Whatever, he's dealing with the pain of it here, and then he kind of has to push past it. He goes, "Well, we got to get out of here before we dead. Let's move on here. Number 1, red alert. Let's go." Calls the red alert.
Last thing it would take is somebody to imagine the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and all of a sudden you got that running through the ship.
Yes. Well, yeah, I think he knows that there's a problem here. He does a red alert, and they go, "Why are we on general quarters?" Which is one of the only times they ever say general quarters, like past original series.
That Targ was surprisingly docile.
Yeah, it was. But basically, Picard gets on the comm, says, "Okay, we're in a place where our imaginations are coming true, everybody. So try to think happy thoughts. Only, we don't want to get anything."
She sprained her ankle doing the spins. She's
like,
out for the count.
I was a ballerina.
No giant.
Like I could have been a ballerina, and now I'm stuck in Starfleet.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And then Picard confronts Kaczynski, but Riker explains it's not him, and it never was. It's the Traveler or the assistant.
Walks up to him. He says, "Look, Herb."
Yeah, what's going on, Herbert? And he goes, Wesley knew about it the whole time. What did you say to the Wesley boy?
Boy.
He tried, but I didn't listen to him, like we always do. Like and Dr. Crusher's like, "I'm trying to analyze him, but I can't figure his physiology out. He's too weird."
To be fair, though, they pretty much always listen to him after this episode.
Yeah. Then they go to sick bay, a very dark sick bay, I will add. And they got
so modern.
Yeah,
they're ahead of their times.
Dr. Crusher's still trying to figure him out. Wesley shows up. Is he gonna be okay? And he's like, "What is the boy doing here?"
What is the boy doing here?
And he says, "I'll get rid of him.
My name is Wesley."
"My name is Wesley. I'm not a boy." He's like, "Yeah, we know." I think how Picard goes, "Yeah,
I'm a transcendental being."
So they do even though Crusher doesn't want to, they revive the Traveler, I guess, with a hypospray, because he does have a physiology. He clearly can get tired and injured and something, so it's complicated.
2 cc's in a Provolene.
Yeah. So then this whole conversation with and then Wesley kind of jumps in a couple times here in this conversation, and then there's one time that Dr. Crusher just gives this like look of death to Wesley. She's like, "Can you stop?" But
boy, don't speak now.
don't speak now, boy. But anyway, so there's a lot to unpack in this conversation here with the Traveler and Picard. But he said we kind of talked about a lot of it already. That he says, I'm not really from another time, but maybe as you think of it, and that he kind of was using Krasinski to go from ship to ship for whatever reason. It just to explore.
We need to talk about that. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's speculation, but but this is what's going on. It's a very good performance, no matter what. He's very mysterious.
Yeah, he is.
It's very kind of interesting here. And then he kind of loses consciousness again, and Picard's like, "Wake him up! We got to keep this going." Eventually, the Traveler says, "Hey, I want to talk to Picard alone." Hey, this Wesley Crusher kid, pretty cool.
He even calls him the boy in this scene.
Yeah, he
the boy. I want to talk to you about the boy.
The boy. He's like, Wesley, what about him? And then he kind of explains that Wesley is a prodigy.
Oh wait, maybe Picard does. Actually, I might be wrong.
That he compares Wesley to Mozart, but not in music, but in space and math,
propulsion,
and propulsion and those kinds of things. And he must be encouraged, but you can't tell anybody, especially the mother. And then so Picard kind of takes this all in and decides to move on.
Is this Euler Greg guy super sad right now? That's what
he might be going for the Houston Oilers. I don't know.
Are you very sad now, buddy? Oh wait, there's a football helmet there. Okay, never mind.
I'm very sad. I'm gonna say.
I'm not. I'm one of the only Canadians who's happy. So
I didn't care.
Yeah.
I gave up on hockey years ago because I'm a Leafs fan.
I'm a Flames fan.
You're okay. Never mind. We won't talk about this right now.
Flames fans don't cheer for the Oilers, Adam. This is the way it goes. So anyway,
guys, we're talking about Star Trek here,
but we will cheer for the Flames that are on the screen right now with this. So I think Picard can see this.
Of course, he sees these. He's shielding himself from them.
Yeah,
he's
like put it out, put out the fire.
So maybe he did see her in her dress. All right, I'm sort of more convinced on he saw the ballerina in her dress.
But then why didn't he see what those two crewmen were running from?
Unclear.
That one time,
or maybe he had just disappeared.
But maybe it was way further down the hall too.
I wanted to see that.
Yeah, I did too. Is it Bigfoot? What is it?
And then
dwarf naked
it's a salt
running
vampire.
With a bat.
This little pep talk that Picard gives this guy after the flames go out. He's like, "Get back to your station. We got to get to the
back to your
station."
Home.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir.
Inspirational.
I love the way he said it.
Wesley shows up here in engineering, and he's like, and Traveler kind of waves him over. I need Wesley here. I think this is where Troy says everyone's frightened, everyone's scared, and this is there's a lot of apprehension. So Picard gets on the comm. All hear this, everybody. We're in a place where this is where he says the Traveler is going to try to get us home, but we all have to be on his side. We need to think good thoughts, good happy thoughts, and help him out. And
whoa, go back. There it is. See the dress again.
Oh, I got a close up here.
Oh, there it is.
That's the scant.
The scant is back.
I thought
still not the best look.
Is that Harold?
Looks like him, doesn't it?
It kind of does look like Harold.
Where's Kumar?
Oh yeah, it looks like it could be his dad or something. Back in 1987. Wouldn't that be fun if that turns out to be true? But yes, another appearance of the scant guys. So Picard gives his peps talk. He says, "Everybody help out," and even Kaczynski's because the Traveler says, "Will you help?" He's like, "You need me?" "Oh yeah, I totally need you, Kaczynski." He goes out of his way to try to make Kaczynski feel good.
"You need me? Oh.
You need me?" He's like, "Yeah, I do."
Come stand next to me.
And then
choose me?
Yeah.
I do.
Troy's like, "I feel such an abundance.
I feel such an abundance of well-being on the ship."
So nice.
But they actually used her empathic abilities for a good reason there. What is that?
Oh, that was a good reason.
Hey.
Hey.
What is that?
What is that? Exactly. What is this episode all about, Edith?
What's up it?
Yes.
There's the Enterprise, Edith. She can't hear me. Anyway, so they decide they get going here. They start going fast, but Picard says, "This isn't fast enough. We need to go faster. So Wesley grabs the Traveler's hand and he gives him the power of love or something. And this allows the Traveler to kind of fully do it. The warp core is going hard and intense here. And then all of a sudden we see the Enterprise kicks into full gear. Breaks.
They had the music budget. They should have busted it. It's the time of the season for loving.
This was their spear bomb moment.
Yeah. So then the Traveler's gone. He won't return till season 4. Which I forgot about. And kind of like this pensive look from Krasinski when it's all over. Whoa,
my career is over.
Yeah, he's like, I guess I'm not. I guess I don't have my ace intern anymore.
But like, what is it with that Pip anyway? Like his career wasn't going so well anyway. It's just like a misshapen piece of metal. Like
he doesn't even get a comm badge.
No.
So whatever that's worth. So the Enterprise is back. They're back. We're exactly where they started. Picard is, saying good to this. Wesley Crusher, he's called to the bridge. He's like, call that boy to the bridge. And he's like, Wesley, you want to sit in my chair? Actually, you're not allowed to sit in my chair, are you? He goes, oh, you're right. I can't rescind my own orders, can I? Actually, you can, but he kind of does this little shtick here with Riker. He's like, well, I guess I could make him an acting ensign. And then he could come to the bridge all the time. Oh, that'd be great. He's like, should I call the mom?
We'll listen to him.
Should we call Beverly Crusher to the bridge? No. What do we have? A medical emergency? Don't worry about her. And Wesley says he'll tell his mom when he gets home. And they fly off to their next mission. And that's the end of the episode. Sorry. It took a little while. It took us 20 minutes just to get through the beginning debate about
my bad
Traveler's intentions. So we're going to.
I didn't have 20 minutes more to say about that, actually. But
do you want to give us some fun facts?
I do want to.
You're up.
Is it about the Traveler's intentions? That would be fun.
Well, that's all speculation. Okay, so the distance to M33 was very uncertain at the time this episode was made, with estimates being between 2 million and 3 million light years. Interestingly enough, best modern estimates are indeed concentrated around 2.7 to 2.8 million.
It's a real galaxy then that they named.
It's a real galaxy, yeah. This episode marks the debut of Robert Bowman as the Trek director. He was later he went on to direct 12 more episodes of Next Gen. This is interesting. Eric Menyuk, who played the Traveler, had originally auditioned for the part of Data.
Oh wow!
I could see it.
I could see it too.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah. When shooting the scene where Riker tells Picard it wasn't him, it never was, it was his assistant, Jonathan Frakes had some difficulty saying the line and eventually could not say it without breaking into a laugh. According to Patrick Stewart, the event soon spread like a bushfire throughout the set, to a point where sound mixer Alan Bernard had to wheel the sound card off the set because he could not stop laughing. Stewart later recalled the story to Frakes in 2012 at the Calgary Comic-Con, where he still couldn't say the phrase very well. I guess it was more funny when they told the story. Yeah,
I thought I laughed.
Okay. Same thing. Some themes in this soundtrack had rearrangements of Jerry Goldsmith's score from the motion picture.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay, so they're taking other pieces from the score. Much better.
They lifted a lot from those TNG or TOS movies for this first season of TNG.
Yeah,
especially that first one, the motion picture. Yeah.
It took Maurice Hurley 6 weeks to rewrite this script after his initial version, which was received poorly by the Next Generation executives. Hurley said they absolutely hated it. I think they wanted to fire me, and they would have if I didn't have a guaranteed contract. He rewrote the script, and this version was filmed. Hurley was pleased with the result, saying that everything about the episode worked. Not according to Davan, though.
No, it didn't. It didn't. It makes no sense.
Works okay for me, but so that's interesting to me that so two people pitched the episode and they're credited as the writers of this episode, but ultimately didn't Maurice Hurley really write this episode? That's
what he said. He rewrote it anyway.
Yeah, it feels like he should have got a teleplay by at least credit, but anyway.
Mr. Kaczynski did not wear a comm badge, but wore a non-Starfleet PEP, indicating he was not a commissioned officer, even though he wore a gold engineering uniform.
Yeah, he's some kind of maybe a warrant officer or a non-commissioned of some form.
Or like not even by the sounds of it. It sounds like they just stuck him in a Starfleet uniform so people would let him work.
Yeah, that's interesting. Let me come back to that comment. I'm gonna leave with that one in a minute here.
Okay.
Okay, so upon arrival at M33, it was mentioned that the return trip to the Federation using normal warp drive through 2 galaxies would take 300 years. At the time given, but the same time was that was the same time. This time is given at the same as the Kelvin's trip and by any other name in 1968. So I guess they used that comparison back then. But in reality, Dave, they pulled that number out of their hat.
So because if the Andromeda galaxy would take hundreds of years to get to, and this is even further than that, like 3 galaxies past that, it feels like it would actually take more like 1,000 years to fly.
Thing is, though, Andromeda and our galaxy are smashing into each other
eventually, but that's not happening for like billions of years.
No, and there's so much empty space in space, they're going to pass harmlessly through each other anyway. So it's not really a smash.
Well, it's more like a merge.
A transit.
Yeah.
A weave.
This is the first episode where you saw Picard's point of view of a shot traveling at warp speed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't pick up on that. Yeah.
And at the end of this episode, Picard gives Wesley a field promotion to acting ensign. When the filming wrapped, Gene Roddenberry gave Will Wheaton his lieutenant's insignia from his days in the Army Air Force.
Oh, nice.
Well, I bet you Will Wheaton has that tucked away somewhere. That'd be a nice thing.
Yeah.
All right, and then I'm going to leave you with this because this is a sort of a theory, but interestingly enough. So Kaczynski's uniform insignia, which presumably indicates his rank as a specialist, is fully silver when he transports the Enterprise. But once he reaches engineering, it now appears as mostly black, with just a silver strip, similar to the 3rd black pip of lieutenant commanders. However, it appears to have curves on the surface and as the black area, so it might be just the way it reflects light. But Kaczynski never wears a communicator throughout the whole episode, even though he is in a Starfleet uniform. This is highly unusual since the communicator is an integral part of the uniform. However, many details indicate that Kaczynski is not a Starfleet officer. His strange single square insignia. He's also only referred to as an expert or Mr., but never by rank. Commander Riker calls him Sir in the transporter room, which is informal. And he's
uncooperative.
He
doesn't collaborate.
He's an informal way of communicating to the senior officers and so on. Apparently, he's a civilian working for Starfleet, which entitles to wear a Starfleet uniform, but not an officer's pin.
Yep, there it is.
Okay, that's what was intended. Okay, but
yep,
they should have put him in a gray jumpsuit, and that would have been fine. Everybody would have
got it. Because they want him to be able to like seamlessly work without people questioning him. Like, what are you doing here? So they have to stick him in a uniform.
I see.
But yeah.
Well, just a little thing I learned about Eric Meniak, who played, the Traveler, who, he's offered the role of Data, or he was considered for the role of David, not offered. But he retired from acting, became an attorney, and now represents children with disabilities and specializes in children's education's rights.
Oh, very good.
So going for the law.
Got out of the demons game and did something noble.
He sure did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sorry, Dave, there was one more. I just wanted to. I skipped over. I just got to find it again. But the woman who plays Picard's mother actually came back later in another episode in the Silicone Avatar and played Dr. I can't remember her name though.
Let's see if I can find any.
No, she didn't. She was not. Data's
Here we are. Ellen Gear, who played Dr. Kyla Marr in Silicone Avatar.
No, she didn't.
She did.
Pardon me, I read it wrong. Herta Ware, who played Yvette Picard, was the mother of Ellen Greer, who later played Dr. Kyla.
There you go.
The mother of the woman.
Go.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. See, nothing about this episode or this podcast makes any sense.
She was the mother of Ellen Gear and Star Trek Picard guest actress Willow Gear, the grandmother of. Played Rocket in that season. All right. Well, all that said, let's get to our ratings, everybody, and put a number on this. Make this a little bigger. Okay.
Let's point out the fact that I added a healthy 0 to the code of honor.
We already knew you had. We already anticipated that
all right.
rating.
All right.
Murphy, you never rated Code of Honor if you have watched.
There's nothing good there, Murphy. Nothing good there. You found my bat list. Thank you, honey.
What was it about again? I vaguely remember it.
It was about racism.
Yeah. Right.
But like not trying to call out racism, about trying to promote racism.
Yeah, no, that's
it's not that either.
Like
it's just a bad episode.
0.
Kind of is.
That is a big fat. Can I give it 2 zeros?
No.
Yeah, give it a 0.
You can 0.0. That's your 2 zeros.
I didn't rate it either. I give that one a 2.
I know Jaemeel gave it a healthy 0, I think.
Jaemeel gave it... No, he gave it more than that. Jaemeel was the high vote.
Did he? What? No.
Yeah, Jaemeel said it's not racist.
And he gave it a 0.5. He definitely thinks it's racist.
Go back and watch it. He'll tell you what he thinks about it.
No, clearly Jameel's comments were that it's the Wakanda of Star Trek.
That's not what he said either. Yeah,
I just wanted to make Davin's head scoff.
Yeah, you did it. Good job. That was a good one.
But back to where no one has gone before. All right, I like this episode a lot. I think for a first season episode, It's pretty cool. I love how they set this up with Wesley's character and they kind of bring it back for the end of the show. So I'm going.
You gave The Naked Now a 9.2 and Encounter at Farpoint a 9? Dave, what are you doing?
I enjoyed the Naked Now.
The Naked Now was a great episode, Gavin. Great episode.
Encounter at Farpoint a 9?
I gave it a 9.
You did too, Adam. What's wrong with you?
You gave it a 6.
And I was being generous.
Well, I like Star Trek. I don't know about you. So I'm giving this episode an 8. I think it's pretty strong. All right, Adam.
8.5. I like this episode.
Yeah. And Murphy.
And I still like it, even though Davin tried to talk me out of it because his stupid theories about the Traveler.
They're not stupid theories. Those are grounded in science, fellas. I'm coming representing the science division right now. So
I give it a 7 mostly because of the cool concepts, but it loses some points for Constable there, whatever his name is, and the leering traveler. What's his name? Constantinople.
There's no Constable.
Konsinski. That's the one. Yeah,
that's him. All right, Davin, you're up.
I'm actually going to give it points for Kaczynski because he's a top tier Herbert. And there are some interesting things. This is the best episode of the season so far. God, I was generous with Encounter at Farpoint though, so I'll give this one a 6 as well.
Okay. I wouldn't want you to be too generous.
It's fairly better than Encounter at Farpoint.
Well, the IMDb gives us a 7.5. So it is the highest rated so far of on any episode.
It should be.
You're really following the whole minefield thing that you said like 2 years ago when we first saw that.
What do you mean the minefield thing? Explain yourself.
You liked it?
It's great. When I think of Enterprise, I think died in a submarine, my uncle. Like that's such a great episode.
Where is that?
Leave me here. Leave me here, pinned to the ship, Captain. I want to die. Like
Jody's giving this an 8 as well.
I wish they did. I wish they left him there pinned to the
ship. So many Malcolm haters.
Sam thought Davin was going to give this a 10.
What?
How wrong he was.
No.
So we're averaging a 7.5 out of 10. Davin mostly bringing that down. And next week we have Lonely Among Us as the episode. Everybody, I'm trying to remember what Lonely Among Us is about. Anyone remember that one off the top of their head?
No.
Just give me a sec. I'll get it for you.
It's the one with those different ambassadors, and some of them look like
Oh, this is the one with like the one that eat the rats and the ones that eat the snake guys. Yes,
exactly. Yeah,
I don't like
the bastards that hate each other and shit.
Mark Alimo's in this episode?
No, I don't think so. Oh, does he play one? Oh, I think he plays one of those, like, what do they look like? They look like a possum or something. They're like possum people.
Little foxes. Like they look like
foxes. Yeah, foxes, possums. Yeah, I remember this episode. It's not.
Yeah, he plays like the weird fox-looking thing.
Yeah, he plays. He does have a long neck in his. Yeah, so okay.
I haven't watched this one in a long time, so this will be interesting.
Well, there's a reason.
Yeah, probably. It's probably not a good one then.
No.
But Mark Alimo's in it. There's some. We got the introduction of the dress uniforms, guys. Come on, what could be better?
Oh yeah,
well, Dave's gonna give it a 10 now.
Yeah.
Dave's gonna give it.
Those uniforms, boys. This is groundbreaking. He'll say.
15 minutes on the uniform.
Calling it now.
I might just for the top. It's in the teaser, so we might be talking about that next week.
Yeah,
I believe Murphy. I think you're Murphy and Adam. I think you're both scheduled to be part of the next one. If you're
really,
yeah, but you don't have to.
You know what? You gotta take the good with the bad. I'll come for sure. If I'm invited, I'm coming, Dave.
You're right now. You're slotted to be there. And speaking of our other podcasts, Adam, you were on last night talking about the Orville with Jody.
It was great. We had a great time last night.
And Murphy, yeah. I caught a little bit of it. Yeah. So,
you know what? Orville is the best live action Lower Decks going.
You compare it with Lower Decks. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Similar tone. Yeah.
It's insulting to Lower Decks, but okay. Lower Decks, if it had like juvenile, like fart humor, like Seth MacFarlane.
I think you just need to look past the Seth MacFarlane of it all, and you'd find there's actually
it's the Seth MacFarlane show starring Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah, and if you could look past that,
you just gotta look past this Patrick Stewart character on TNG. It's really a good show. If you just look
he's
past
honestly
Patrick
not
Stewart.
in the show that much. You know, he's in it enough, but like to be fair, it's the concepts presented in the Orville are actually really fun.
Well, Davan, if you ever want to come on and talk about an episode, I'm sure they'll have you. So
look, I could cast myself in a TNG ripoff too, and it would be better than the Orville. But
anyway, well, all that said,
how would you know? You haven't watched it.
I've seen some of the episodes.
You've watched all of it, though.
No.
Yeah.
Well, then you don't know.
What's going on in the science division, Davan?
Well, in the science division, not much lately. On Locutors, we just interviewed Dayton Ward. That was fun. Check out his new book, Pliable Truth. It's so good. If TNG and DS9 are your jams, then that is your peanut butter. So go check out Pliable Truth. It's amazing book. Fits into the headcanon beautifully.
I think we've been cooking up a debate in the near future too.
Yeah, I mean, there is a trouble with trivia in a Debate 9 coming up relatively soon, but I just don't know who's in it or when.
Davan.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we could definitely rock out a probe anytime you're feeling it. That's always fun. Yeah.
Join us. One of us.
Google.
Was it a cult? Google. You know what? It is a cult, Sam. You're right.
Join the Orville. All right. Well, with all that said,
no.
We can probably sign off here.
No.
We'll call it a night, everybody, and thanks for being with us here on our review of Where No One Has Gone Before, where space, time, and thought are not separate things they appear to be. Live long and podcast. Thanks to the panel and everyone here in the comments and with us tonight. We'll see you next time.
That space and time and thought aren't the separate things they appear to be.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.